helps me to forget. Wonder what I'm thinking. Wonder why I'm drinking. But it's plain to see I'm not the man I used to be.
Hello and welcome back to 52 Topics with Frank Fiordolino. Ridgewood, a true story. Ep.5. Another day at Pallids. So Frank, the last episode we spoke about you guys are getting into gambling, getting into trouble. Some of your interest in that thing, you meet Bobby Glasses and you got Bobby Wiziak. So you guys are getting into that whole world. But there's also other social things you're doing together. We spoke about an incident you guys got into at Lemoore, a club fight. Obviously, club that's not the last club fight you guys are going to be involved in. I'd like to talk
No.
about a funny one, not funny, an interesting one you told me about. But we also ended last episode. We mentioned Black Alex is missing. Kid from the neighborhood, Dominican kid who speaks fluent Sicilian.
Yeah, very
And
well too. Yep.
he gets into it with that guy Kenny. He beats the crap out of him. Things are going on about Kenny, who we'll speak about. But Black Alex is missing. Let's talk about why he's missing. What's the word on the street, and then let's flow into some nightclub action.
Before we get that to him beating up Alex has nothing to do. No, Alex beating him up has nothing to do with where Kenny ends up. It's just something that happened that they were hanging out. You understand, because then Kenny has a sort of a pretty bad fate, but it has nothing to
Right.
do with fate. When I mean fate, FATE, it has nothing to do with Alex. Alex is taken off the streets. He gets arrested. We're looking for him. We didn't know what happened to him. Where's Alex? Apparently, Alex was involved in a major drug fucking operation. And when I mean major is, I think they were calling it at the time the Pizza Connection 2 case. And somebody knocked on him. They wore a wire on him. He was and they took him in. Why was we didn't know what happened to him was because Alex was pretty secretive about his lifestyle. He was Dominican, but he also only a few people know where he was living or where you could meet with him. So those few people started coming around, who I'm not going to mention. They were one got in trouble with him, and they kind of came around and said, "Hey, look, this is what happened to both of these guys." And I was like, "Oh wow!" And it was kind of a sad situation. Um, and we could finish the chapter on Alex on this one, because Alex was a really, really, really good guy, and he's still probably. I hear he's doing really well. Um, he surfaced on the internet not too long ago, and it was really, really talk about emotional seeing him. He's doing good. I hear he has a family, and that's good stuff. That's good stuff, man. It really is. But this is a guy had. He was an Italian. He was looking at 7 years. He decided to go to trial. Ended up getting 25 years. Um, he could have told, never did. He stand up. He just held his own, and believe me, he was there. He knew people. It wasn't like he didn't know anybody. He was just a guy that had nobody to tell on. I'm not, but I'll just leave that at that. So,
No, it's interesting because like we said, he's a Dominican, but he
mhm.
speaks fluent Sicilian. But
Oh, perfect,
it's
perfect.
almost, like you said, he could have flipped, or what a Dominican guy, he could have
Yeah.
flipped, he could have disappeared, went wherever he want, but he almost had it instilled in him like this was actually family, like you guys maybe might have, or where it's like this thing, where
Yeah.
it's some kind of cultural connection that he found. It's interesting.
And you couldn't tell him different. You couldn't tell him he was in Sicilian, because he's Sicilian to him. Um, but like I said, my parents loved him. He was a really good dude. And he was always protective of me too, because he was a little bit older. So yeah, growing up, a lot of us guys growing up, we had a good group of older guys looking out for us. But when I mean older, a couple years older, because the ones that ended up just not being there or getting arrested or not being there no more. They weren't around, so that caused a lot of us being open to a lot of bullshit. But back to the clubs. Around this time, we were going to Palace, and I told you Tony Green, who was friends with the owner of Palace, said, "Just go over there. Don't worry about it. Tell him you know me, whatnot." I guess I kind of regretted that, and maybe Tony Green regretted that after, because it seemed like every week we went there, we got into some kind of bullshit. This is one time Paul wasn't there, and we had gotten into it with these two guys inside the place in Palace. They come out. There's a Burger King right there in the parking lot. There's a couple of empties. It's a 5-on-2 situation, which I've been on both sides of that. So it's not like I looked for that. It was just whatever was in front of me. So these guys are a little bit bigger. So I grabbed one bottle, bag, crack it over one guy. The other guys are getting into it. I grab the other bottle and crack it over the other guy. So two guys get cracked with two bottles. While we're, they're confused, whatever. We didn't know, but they called for reinforcements, knowing that we were gonna get into it with them outside. So while I'm walking and everything you think is over, we just, there's a little cut there, whatever, a little cut, very cut. I'm walking, and this guy from our neighborhood, I remember seeing him for a second, and then I went into blackout mode because he's about 6'3", 6'4" steroid guy. Used to work out with my friend's brother at the time, my ex-friend's brother's kid, Pete Bam, his brother. This kid Bam Bam just comes out of nowhere and just hits me on the fucking chin. I don't know, because I hear it from my friends. My feet leave the ground. That's how hard he hit me.
Jesus
Bam,
Christ.
I fall. This kid Alberto, we grew up, but he grabs my arms and gets me out of the way, or my legs, or whatever. He's saying, because this guy's going for seconds, and he gets clocked, and another kid gets clocked, and he's falling. This guy took out like 3 of us,
Yeah.
We get just like fucking. He was like the ultimate warrior, But
Corn fed.
but exactly, the real just fucking. He dominated the situation. We get in the car. I remember saying, "I need some Tylenol because I got a fucking headache." So I swallowed a couple of them. Fucking, I was okay. No hospital, no nothing. But I wanted the piece of this guy, especially when I started realizing who it was. It was a guy that was always in the neighborhood, hung out in this pizza shop by the L station on Fresh Pond Road. There was a place called Patty's. And out of all people, Ralph used to work there now and then when they needed somebody, because not for the money, he would just help out the guy. So he worked at that pizza place. And this guy used to come there. It was a Monday night. I remember we were all hanging out. We were no longer hanging out at Italian 90, my brother's place, because it closed down. We started hanging out at Nino's, which was Palmetto and Fresh Pond, the old Aiello coffee shop, because
Right.
Giannini was not open yet. It was coming about. And all the other guys, for the most part, started hanging out at the Giannini coffee shop. That there was one before the infamous one, okay? And
where
that
the
was
Casablanca, right?
Yes, where Casablanca is, exactly. So
Right,
you remember.
Right. Yeah.
So we're hanging out there. We get a call. Of course, it's Ralph. He tells the guy, "Hey, hang out. I want to show you something," or whatever. And he holds him at bay. And when he holds this guy Bam Bam at bay, we all go in there. I remember Kevin Antonucci being there that day too. So it's like 10, 15 of us. And they have a small car, him and another friend of his. When he sees us roll up, he runs into the car. He gets a couple of bats over his back, but not enough to fucking do anything. And his friend gets the brunt of it. Every window gets smashed and they take off. And Vanessa, there's this girl that comes in every time. She works at the hairstyling place. She gets a coffee, cappuccino, whatever. And the owner of the place, the Nino's place, who's like family to me because we're all from Cristobal, and that's Baldo's cousin. He comes up to me, he goes, "Hey, I was talking to Dottie being the manicurist at the hairstyling place." I go, "Did you get into a fight this weekend?" Oh, I go, "Yeah, what about it?" "But that's her brother." I said, "Yeah, and?" just right off the bat. And yeah, he fucking hit me. I fucking flew off the fucking thing. Because yeah, but you guys fucked him up and you fucked up his car. And he wasn't being an asshole about it. He goes, is there any way that I can arrange something? You talk to him and we get it over with. I said, I don't know. Let me think about it. I just, it's her fucking brother. I got their cousins. They got me. Then we got him again. I'll talk. I said, all right. Yeah, I'll do it for you. We'll talk. So we end up meeting at the coffee shop, and he comes there. But when he comes there, he's a little arrogant. Like, you beat my cousin. I said, motherfucker, I'm not here to fucking make peace with you. You understand this, right? I'm here because your sister's fucking hanging out with this guy. That's the only fucking reason. And he told me to fucking calm down. He goes, well. I said, no. Well, let's go. Let's go about it the way we got to go about it. Go on your fucking way, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah. So without solving it.
No, we did solve. He put his hand out. He goes, you're right. This and that. I said, I'm right. I'm 100% right. You took a fucking shot at me. You're lucky I don't fucking come gunning for you. All right. I'm just doing him a favor. You took your shot. I took your shot at your cousins. We got fuck you in your car and whatever. You got a couple of welts. We're good. Fuck off,
Yeah, just call it at that. So
just call it a fucking day. And he wanted to come up with it's that whole fucking. He was juiced out. And that was particular how a lot of shit ran. You took your lump, so you gave him, but whatever. But but this is before the gun game even came about. So this is the type of stuff that was happening around this time. A lot of shit's going on. Paul's dad comes home. He was on the lam and he comes out. He negotiates. This is how smart this guy was. He negotiates a good plea with his lawyer. He had a great lawyer. His name was Ivan Fisher. And Paul's dad arranges where he does only a certain time, but he gets to spend 3 months with his kid. And, that's his son. That's his boy. He loves his kid. Wants to see him. And that gets arranged. They meet up. And I meet his dad for the first time because I didn't know his dad prior to, I really started palling around with Paul around 13, 14. And he was really, really a remarkable guy. He was really smart, really intelligent. And you kind of see like the last 5 years where we were going with things and everything and stuff wouldn't have happened. If shit would have happened, if people like him or people like, I guess, even Baldo or Caesar was alive or my cousin Tony was around, would be going through this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
we
he was
weren't-
involved in the junk business, basically, right?
Well, that's what he went away for.
Right.
Ironically, if he found out any of us were into that shit, he would have fucked us up.
Yeah.
He came with a different awareness. Like me and Paul were big baseball fans, right? We both like the Mets, and we grew up together playing ball and everything. Played little league together. I knew Paul a long time, but we started palling around about 13, 14. I knew him maybe since I was 10, 11, but we weren't palling around, and we played ball. Paul was a pretty good baseball player. I was okay. And I remember that one time that he told me his dad wanted him to play soccer, and a lot of our dads did. My dad hated baseball too. A lot of Italian dads did. They'd rather their kids play soccer. It wasn't a American to Italian to American thing. It was just that's what they grew up on. So he called him to the side and he took his glove and put it in the trunk. And Paul goes, that was the last time I seen my glove, And it's crazy because when one of the things that I shared with his dad was when we came back was that he wanted to take us to a ball game because he had the little guys, not us basically, but the little guys, Paul's nephews. So we all went to Shea Stadium and seen the Mets play the Phillies. I remember that. It was pretty cool. And I told Paul, and Paul never really divulged anything family, or never really got emotional either. He was a non-emotional guy. I go, I thought you told me your dad. He goes, yeah, I know. He apologized to me for that. He goes, and it's funny because as we got older, when we got into fucking bigger trouble, and we got into a lot of fucking shenanigans and bullshit, I started a softball team right before, I think it was a couple of months before Paul gets arrested. And it was like we were kids again. You'd be like, "Hey man, make sure you wake me up Sunday. I want to go play." This is
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
already we're invested in a couple of murders. And we're going to play softball, and we're just like we're kids again playing wiffle ball on Gates Avenue. We used to do that shit a lot. So we started doing that. Um, but we're going back to basics. It's like, you know what? We're getting to the point of proving that we ain't gonna take shit from nobody, because obviously at this point we had a pretty good fucking group around us. So people knew that they're not gonna just take a fucking licking anymore. Um, this point in our life, Vito was around. Vito, self-explanatory. There's nobody's giant at the time that had not at the time, but was going to that legacy. Even today, you see how it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People still talk about him. So we're starting to go back to relaxing 101. Doing the softball thing, man. He get fucking like a little kid if you didn't fucking call. Come on, man. Just ring my bell, man. Like we were 12 again.
Yeah.
And it was nice. It was really nice. But back to his dad. His dad was a good guy. He'd take us out, and we would go to like the Spanish Roosevelt, not the hooker
Get your
thing.
mind out of the gutter, people. Get your mind out of the
Yeah, no,
gutter.
the nightclubs, because they were really, really trendy and they were nice.
Yeah.
And he'd take like 8, 9 of us there. It wasn't no big deal. He paid a tab. God forbid you put your fucking hand on your pocket. He was that guy.
What kind of clubs are these? Were these were the Spanish clubs?
The Spanish clubs.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. There was one kid that used to help Paul at the bakery. They had a bakery at one time, and his dad caught him. And the kid was drunk after a nightclub. He thought he was might have doing drugs, and he kicked him in the ass a couple of times. He was really on him. So maybe there's so many different stories about people, without throwing fucking blame or things on them. So those were the good days. He cared about his kids like any dad does. His kid had gotten shot at that point. Why don't you shoot him when I'm around? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who did that? Nobody did. And to be fair, he had a sister too who I'm pretty sure they don't talk like I don't talk to my brother, but for same reasons. But she was worried about him too. His family was worried about him, between the money, the fights, people even daring to take a shot at him, because they wouldn't have did that when his family was around. So, but what didn't kill us made us strong in a lot of ways, and especially him. About that time, we were palling around quite a few. His father goes into he gives himself up. He goes in, and I go through my shit too. Somebody one time fucked him up. Like my dad, he'd been going through shit since my brother passed away. My older brother, and he was always going through shit. It seemed like, so he used to make a lot of bad decisions. Um, hang out in places where where he just fucking a younger crowd. And sometimes the younger crowd like to fuck around with older people. One time they fucked around with his food. So I found out about it through another younger guy. And I didn't want to tell my brothers, because this would have been, I wanted to know what happened first, because my brothers would have reacted and we ended up
Yeah.
killing these guys.
Yeah.
Or one guy, without a doubt, no questions asked. I mean, murder was definitely an option in my family, when you had to do something. It wasn't like it was, and we had enough relatives to carry out shit.
Right. Right.
So it happened to be that it was one of Anthony Tabia's cousins I heard that done it, but I just didn't feel right. I found him, I got the fucking bat, and I cracked his ribs. I took a bat to him. I was
Oof.
fucking. He's going, "What are you doing?" And I just, but when you have that fucking sick sense of that, this just doesn't seem right, because that man had not been him. And the
Yeah.
guy who gave you that tip might have given you a wrong tip. And I never knew if it was or it wasn't, because I didn't look into it. But I don't know what happened at that time. But the next step is I would have had to get my brothers involved in the murder, and I felt this was my thing, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
That's our father. But at that time, the kid's brother comes first. He goes, somebody's not telling you everything. So now I'm starting to believe maybe this kid didn't tell me everything. And
So you're about 20 years old. Let's say 5 years
19,
earlier.
probably 19. This is
You're
around the same
19,
time. Yeah, I'm
right?
19. I took a
19.
baseball bat, and I was always known to fucking use a bat.
But let's say 5 years earlier. Would you have told your brothers you were 15?
Probably because I was in a different place. I was just getting darker and darker. Paul's with me while I'm beating this guy up. I'm doing everything though. And this is about the time that Anthony's trying to ingratiate himself with Paul. But Paul at this time is like, nah, one of you are gonna fucking pay for this. And after the brother comes, I said, if you're gonna keep talking and not doing anything, either you do something or you shut the fuck up and get the fuck out of here before you're next. Until you know what I mean. Don't
Yeah,
come over here like
yeah.
you hit the. And I don't give a fuck what you want. You want me to bring in my butt? We could do it this way. You're not gonna like it. And then to beat is like because he's trying a lot to fucking like get on Paul's good side. He wants to come out, and Paul is telling me from the background, hit him, hit him, hit him. I didn't want to hit to beat because he didn't have nothing to do with it. First of all, and second of all. It wasn't his thing, you know what I mean? And we would have gone at it. I mean, would I have hit him? Would have probably not because I knew him longer than his cousins, but I definitely would have went at him. And he would have went at me. We would have did whatever. That's just the way it was. But after that, I grabbed the kid who told me, and I tried to get it out of him. I even fucked him up for about a good 5 minutes, kicking him fucking until he didn't tell me. So. I don't know what happened at the time. It just died out, whatever. That other kid I hit with the bat never came around. Matter of fact, he became a junkie. And so he was
Really?
going through his own fucking thing in his life. But it was something I always kept away from my family. That could have been problematic. Later on, through the wind, I've heard rumors who could it have been. And it would have definitely been an automatic death penalty.
Jeez.
That would have been a capital, yeah, without a doubt.
Wow.
So that's the type of stuff we were getting in,
Yeah.
And,
Let me ask you about another character who we've spoken about a little on this channel. Ragusa's nephew.
He's young. He's young at the time. So
Fabio Bartolotta.
Yeah, he's young. He's getting in his fucking bones.
Is he hanging out with you guys?
Not really, but he's hanging out with a younger clique that eventually becomes the main core of the Giannini crew. So he like Anthony Tabita's in the middle of that, and then he's hanging out with John Clemenza.
Yeah.
And Joe Shalara. He's hanging out with this kid Brian Lindemann, this Joe Corrado, who at the time there was a lot of, believe it or not, there's a lot of in Fabio. There was a lot of Ralph in him. Ralph and Fabio had a lot of similar traits. But he was getting there. He got away with a lot because Paul was his uncle. And I remember Paul sometimes fucking just going aggravated him, fucking him, and just wouldn't handle him. But he would one time he would grab him between a gate, like those gates you close doors with.
Yeah.
Put him in the middle of that and just shake the fucking thing because he just didn't want to kill. Paul was a bucket of nerves. That's who he was, But we used to see a lot of that, or fucking just where he went and talked to. So he liked to dummy up. We got into it a lot. Not a lot. We got into a couple of fucking fist fights. Me and Paul, but it was always fucking the next day, 2 days later, we'd be talking.
Yeah.
He was just that guy, you know what I mean? And he was different. He'd go up against anybody. I was just not as confrontational as he was, but he was definitely that guy. And confrontational to a point. Like if you didn't do nothing to him, not like that, he wasn't fucking with you. One time we were at a diner after a club, and there's these 3 kids. They look like pure fucking metalheads. You know what I mean? We're eating. It's me, Paul, and some other two kids, and we're eating, and we're coming from the clubs a little bit old. We have our jackets on, like without some kind of fucking gangsters. We're dressed pretty good. Paul always dressed good, by the way, but so we get there, and he overhears these kids calling us like Guidos and shit. Like, look at these fucking,
Jeez.
and he overhears that, and he says it. Them. I think they're talking about us. I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "I think they're fucking talking about us." I said, "What? What do you?" So he just gets up, and they're screaming him. He goes, "Which one are you talking?" He's slapping one out of the other.
Jeez.
They get up, they're trying to fucking get out. As they get out, I got to get involved too. We get into it. One kid I knocked right onto the boot, and those clothes hangers that fucking
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that hold were connected to the boots.
yeah.
They come in, waitresses just start screaming, and I take the fucking clothes hanger or the fucking thing, just whack the kid with it. And they're on the floor, just like Beavis and Butthead types, and they run out of the fucking place. Lady goes, "Oh my God, what's going on? What's going on?" I had to end up giving her a good tip, like a $40-$50 tip
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the fucking cops. And we ended up getting out of there. But that was a normal thing. It was just like, it wasn't like, um you had to provoke him. It wasn't like he was right there to fuck with anybody. You know what I mean? Like that. But very tough kid. Very tough kid.
All right. So, Frank, next episode, we're going to be entering into a new decade, right? And
Yeah, like so we talk about, right, exactly. We are by this time we're gonna be entering a decade. I end up going to Italy in '90, the World Cup, Giannini's on Fresh Pond opens up. We're gonna be discussing that. Um Ralph starts getting more aggravating and aggravating. It's not good to talk about the dad, but it's what was going on. You see more of the younger guys coming around. That's what we're gonna talk about. But I'm trying to think too. Yeah, yeah. This is about the time that Ralph actually starts hanging out with Bobby. And I remember one time we had a fight at um, the Naked City, which was Joe O'Kane's place, and we it was me, um, Bobby Wizak was there, my friend Nat, and I think this kid Sal was there. Sal gets into it with these three guys and two guys in there. They come outside, two or three. They come outside, and we want to go outside and fuck them up. The manager's like, "Nah, fucking guys, come on, man, don't start fighting my place." Well, these guys called us out, and we were just hanging out. We were drunk. We're like, "Well, yeah, yeah, I get it." And it's Joe Kane's place. I said, "We're just gonna take them around the corner," which basically we did. While we go around the corner, it starts. This one Puerto Rican kid comes at me. He's got like Spanish kid, Puerto Rican, he's got a hockey jersey, and the other guy, he's bigger, fights with my other two friends. They got him down, no problem. This guy, I right on the middle of Queens Boulevard, like fucking, I put his shirt over and I start hockey fucking him up, like the hockey guys do.
yeah, he pull his shirt over his head and all
Yeah,
that
he was
shit.
shorter than me, so it came easy. He wasn't a tall guy. So while I'm doing that, a gun falls right out of this guy's fucking pants. I grab it and I said, "Look what I found," right? Meanwhile, fucking, let's get the fuck out of here. We just got the better of him. I stole the kid's gun. Let's get the fuck out. But while we're going, so for the Manhattan side of Queens Boulevard, going to towards the house, here comes fucking Bobby driving a car, glasses, and there's Ralphie in there. And they go, "What the fuck you guys doing?" They seen us. And we're running, and we run into Bobby's car. He goes, "Come on, get in here, you motherfuckers." And one gets right in the car with Bobby and Ralphie. It almost knocks Bobby's glasses off when he comes in. I think it was bigger, and us, the other two, three guys get in the back. And about this time, they started hanging out a lot with each other. They were becoming like really close. So I
Yeah.
remember that. And maybe a year later he gets killed. But we'll talk about that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 5 of Ridgewood, a true story. Another day at Palad's. Thank you so much for listening.